Okay, this was in about 2005. I'd been up in Highgate village at the Duke, and as a caveat, I'd had a few pints. Not that much, and I was walking down Swain's Lane from Bishop Gardens, and I'd lived in North London in Oakshott Avenue, Hollywood Mansions, for around about 10 years at that time. And I used to walk down the middle of the road rather than on the pavements because they were all kind of potholed. And there was nothing kind of untoward about the evening or anything. And as I got down towards the east and west cemetery gates, there was a guy standing on the east side by the gates between Waterloo Park and the east side of the cemetery. And I just saw this bloke standing there, you know, dressed darkly, and didn't think much of it. And I was walking down the middle of the road, and as I drew kind of parallel to him, he just said, "Good evening, sir," which is nothing strange in itself, but it just sounded like the kind of voice had been thrown, and it was right in my ear roll. And that in itself kind of made me feel a little bit disconcerted, but I didn't talk to him, I didn't do anything, I just carried on down. And my turning was next on the right, which is just below the brow of the hill, about maybe 60 yards to 100 yards down, about 60 yards. I was thinking about this as I walked down the rest of the way, and as I turned into Oakshott Avenue, I just looked back up, and I just saw him go across the road. Again, nothing strange about that, other than it just looked like he kind of glided across, you know, like he was moonwalking or something like that. And that was it. Absolutely, that was it. There was nothing more. I got in, woke up my wife, and just said, "I've seen a pretty strange thing on Swain's Lane." Told her that. I couldn't have been that frightened because, you know, she went back to sleep, and that was it. I can't tell you anything more.
Anyone have any questions for Martin?
No, I've just got what? Again, ask Mickey. Did you get any impression about its dress?
Just dark.
Just dark, yeah.
Nothing stood out. Nothing stood out.
What do you think it was?
A guy standing by the cemetery. It was the voice in my ear that more than anything.
Could it have just been a guy standing at the cemetery?
Could have been, I don't know.
But it was the fact that it was speaking to you very close up to your ear.
It just sounded, you know, where he was standing, which would have, as I came down Swain's Lane, would have been that side. He was beyond the window. And when he said, "Good evening, sir," it would have been right. It sounded like it was right in my ear. And that's the thing that kind of pulled me up short.
John?
I was just going to ask, how tall was he?
Tall. I don't know if he was 7 foot. I don't know how tall he was, but he was tall.
Taller than average.
Anybody else? Any questions? Or? No, well, that's...
Did he sound like he was using modern English, or did he sound like something?
Well, that vernacular just sounds a bit strange. "Good evening, sir." You know, you'd say, "All right, mate," wouldn't you? But that's the kind of thing, you know. It was just those. Well, it was that, you know, the voice right by my ear, and the fact that he said, "Good evening, sir." Well, you know, why would you say that? And then when I turned into Oakshott Avenue, the fact that, you know, just saw him go across like that. But, you know, he wasn't floating or anything like that because the camber of the hill, I couldn't see his feet. But he went across very kind of smoothly.
Yes? What time of night was it? Did you say? I don't know.
Yeah, it was midnight. Oh, God. Yeah, so I left the pub, so somewhere between 11:30 and midnight.
And have you had any experiences before?
I didn't know anything about any of this lot. I was researching.
You weren't fascinated with any of this?
No, I didn't even know anything about David at that time.
Right.
I was researching a play about kind of urban experiences with the supernatural, and I put 2 posts. I can't even remember the website because I don't really use it that much. But it was something about Essex Road and something about Mozart Estate up in Kilburn. And someone said, never heard of either of those things, but have you heard of the Highgate Vampire? I said, no, but this is what happened when I walked down one night, and that was it.